So good morning, I'm David Murray-Hundley, and today I want to talk to you about mentors and how you get a mentor, and do you actually really need a mentor, and also kind of the slight difference between a mentor and an advisor, which kind of gets confused out there sometimes. So do you really need one? So I have 3 mentors in my life. I'll give you this as an example, and one of them's been around me for 22 years, one's been around sort of 15 years, and one's been around 6 years. I didn't intentionally go out looking for them, they kind of adopted me. And here's where I think a mentor is different to an advisory person, is that the mentor tends to be around whatever companies you work in, whatever you're doing business-wise right to that point. And, you know, as from my example, they tend to see you through your journey. In the case of the one for 22 years, you know, they've watched me go from a really young guy at 21 years of age to being a lunatic and doing various things in my life. So they're there. Also, I don't pay the guys. So, you know, a personal mentor is generally doing it because they recognize some skill or some traits in yourself that they probably had in themselves as well, and they want to kind of help you along and maybe, you know, watch you make the mistakes or help maybe not make the mistakes. So whilst I don't pay them, you know, they're your friends as well, and you do various things like pick up dinner tabs and drink tabs and all the rest of the nice things that we do. Advisory is a little bit different in that, you know, they tend to be part of your business, and so, you know, the whole purpose of an advisory board in that sense is that, you know, it should be a safe haven for an entrepreneur or a founder of a business to go and talk about what they want to do with the business or what their strategy is without having to deal with what you would have in a board meeting, where you may get beaten up a little bit or super challenged, there might be agendas in place, etc. Also with an advisory board, and this is a really important point, bear in mind that you generally don't want someone on your advisory board that is a shareholder. And it sounds crazy, but I personally think it works a lot better if you actually have someone who doesn't have an agenda. They walk in that room and they're there to help you as the founder or entrepreneur of that business. So how do you find one? So this is probably the biggest issue. So as I said with my mentors, I've never looked for one, they've kind of found me, but I get a lot of requests, you know, on a weekly basis from people asking me to mentor them on a personal level, or come in and do an advisory role in their business, which is lovely. And in general, I say no, because I think there's a real fit that has to happen. So, you know, whilst there's a lot of people on places like LinkedIn, and you go to network events and everyone you meet's kind of trying to advise your business, etc., you know, for me, it has to be about track record. There's no point in having someone advise you if they haven't done it themselves and they've just read it out of a textbook. You know, that's sometimes my work, but in my experience, you know, they've got to have been there and done it, and maybe a few times, which is why, you know, they can hold that role as advisory or as a mentor to you. The other thing as well, where to find them, is that, you know, it's a noisy space, and in the last 5 years, it's super noisy. It never used to be. You know, I never used to hear anybody at a networking event say they were a mentor, and I certainly never used to go onto LinkedIn and see it that often. And now, you know, it's kind of all the time. So be very careful. And the really important point is you've got to get on with that mentor. Certainly, on the advisory side, not so much, because they should challenge you. But on a personal level with your mentor, you know, they are going to be there potentially for a very long time as part of your life, and you are going to fall out and you are going to hear stuff you don't want to hear, but you're going to respect them, they're going to respect you. So it's all about people, and it just because they have the credentials on a CV doesn't make them the right person for you. I've learned that lesson, and I've watched lots of companies, you know, and entrepreneurs especially, make some serious mistakes around that. The other thing with advisors as well, so I touched on that, you know, I don't pay my mentors, but advisory side, yeah, you should. I see a lot of people try and do kind of these 1% stake deals or percentage deals in their business, etc. Honestly, if an advisor is worth their weight in gold, they will challenge that, and they most likely want to get to know you as well. So giving them a couple of percent, you know, from day one is probably not the smartest move. What you want to do is kind of find each other and see, you know, whether it's going to work or not long term. You'll know that within 2 to 3 months maximum, I would say, possibly even sooner. What's the going rate for advisors out there? It varies. If it's too cheap, I would challenge it massively. And if it's mega expensive, then, you know, I'm talking sort of 10 grand a day, then yeah, you possibly want to challenge that, unless it's Bill Gates or Mark Zuckerberg maybe. But you know, they are out there. They will do deals with you. Some will do some cash up front and then do stock for more long term. And also, you know, understand what you want, both from your mentor and your advisor. So from a mentor, you know, these guys aren't God. They're not going to kind of suddenly get rid of all your problems for you. But what they will do is, if you speak to them, they've probably identified some areas they can help you with already. But they may also say, well, what do you want out of this? Advisory side, very much the same. I see a lot of advisory boards in companies that are like 2 years old or 3 years old in some sense. And I kind of view a bit like entrepreneurs in a way, and founders in businesses. You have part of the journey where you work, and then you're kind of done. So I go to these advisory boards, and I'm like, been around 3 months, and I'm thinking possibly I've got another 3 months on this advisory board to help the business through this part of its life cycle, maybe 12 months. But you see them, they're tired, they're non-challenging, they've become a bit too friendly, and there's no agenda, and it drives me absolutely bonkers. And if you do have an advisor, make sure you see them. Don't see them all individually. You know, mentors, yeah, you can see individually, but advisory side of things, make sure that person is with the other people who might be your advisory board, dealing with a particular issue in your business, and make sure you have a meeting a month, at least every month. You read stuff about people going, oh, you just need to see them every 6 months, 12 months. That might work for a really big business that's quite steady in its foundation, but for a startup or a company that's scaling, absolutely doesn't work. They need to speak to each other, everyone needs to challenge, and you need to have the conversation once. It's a bit like, you know, when you talk to shareholders, everyone's on the phone to each shareholder individually, and actually, if your communication's good, you communicate to everyone at once. And then what you do is that you set a time on a Friday and go, right, you know, you can ring me up and ask me any questions you want to ask me about the business. And so it's really important you have an agenda, and that agenda can change. So just because you have an agreement in place doesn't mean it doesn't change, right? Because your business may change, you may change, you may go, this advisor actually is better at helping me on this than they are on other things. And if it's a kind of like a cold approach, you know, you found someone on LinkedIn, you go, wow, look at what they've done. Like they've basically done my business maybe twice in a kind of different sense. Then don't be afraid to drop them an email, but be cool about it. It's a bit like sending your deck out to people. It's all about making sure that you understand who that person is, okay? Now, they may politely say no. They may actually ask you, well, actually, we need to have a coffee, or we need to meet a few times. You know, most companies I end up getting involved with on an advisory and a mentor side, I tend to have met them quite a few times, actually, and then I meet the team, etc., because it has to work. It has to be value on both sides. So don't be afraid to cold call people. If people come touting to you, challenge it. So what I mean by that is, if you know a guy comes to you at a network event and says, oh, I can mentor you and I can advise your business, that's probably not the right person. So just to kind of recap, you know, it's a very noisy space out there. Everyone's doing it, apparently. You know, it's all about track record. Don't be afraid, by the way, if you do find someone you think is going to advise your business, the likelihood is, if they've done a good job elsewhere and they're well known, that, you know, you can go to other people that will know them. And I'll give an example. What happened to me this week is that I'm looking at a particular business at the moment, and I know for a fact that founder has gone and spoken to 3 or 4 people about me, okay? And that's exactly what I want, because they're going to do a better job at selling me than probably I am. They've probably said I'm a lunatic, but they've also said I get shit done. So that's a really good point to be able to, make sure you do that. Make sure you kind of qualify it out, because you're letting them in your business at the end of the day. And certainly if you're going to give them equity, as I always say to people, you give the person 1% and they can be the biggest pain in the ass in the world. So you be very, very careful. Anyway, I hope that was useful. I'm going to talk more about the advisory side in another video in a few weeks. Apologies to people out there. I've not done anything for 2 weeks. Been kind of busy and thinking about what I was going to talk to you guys about. But it's a Saturday, so I'm looking forward to the weekend, and I hope you all have a great weekend as well. Have a good day.